Actually, it's the descendants of the enslaved. We are not slaves. We are the descendants of the enslaved. And let me tell you a little about them enslaved people, okay? Those enslaved people were some geniuses, okay? See, we just see things differently because what I see is I see a man named Booker T. Washington who was born into slavery and ended up becoming the founder of Tuskegee University, one of the top ranking HBCUs in the country. When I think about the enslaved, I think about George Washington Carver, who was stripped away from his mother, a sickly little child, but went on to not only teach at Tuskegee University, but saved the agricultural landscape of the United States of America. Now, see, when I talk about being a descendant of the enslaved, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like John Don Juan Knight, who went on to become a whole millionaire. After being born in Alabama, enslaved, went on to Guatemala to become known as the financial ruler of Central American states and the Black Vanderbilts. When I talk about being a descendant of the enslaved, I'm talking about a lady named Clara Brown who became known as the Angel of the Rockies, who was sold away from her husband and her 4 children, started her own laundry business, saved her money, upwards of $10,000. Wait a minute, that's almost $300,000 today. And with that money, she went on to build churches in the Western United States of America, as well as open more businesses, become a real estate investor, and invest in her own gold mines, and still found time to locate one of her children and meet her grandchild before she died. Now, when I talk about being a descendant of the enslaved, I'm talking about a man named Alonzo Herndon, founder of the largest and finest barbershop in the world. What was it called? The Crystal Palace. When I talk about being a descendant of the enslaved, I'm talking about Paul Revere Williams, who became one of the most prominent architects in American history and known as Architect to the Stars, designing homes for Zsa Zsa Gabor, Frank Sinatra, and many others, along with having designed over 3,000 commercial buildings, structures, and homes in his lifetime, such as the Beverly Sunset Medical Center, the First AME Church in LA, Hillside Memorial Park, and even St. Jude Hospital in Memphis. And that was just a couple. When I talk about being a descendant of the enslaved, I see so many overcomers. I see a vast number of my people who know that I'm not ashamed of them at all. When I think about my people, I think about the people who were actually doctors that the slavers had to call on because they couldn't heal their sick. So they had to call on my ancestors, my forefathers. So, no, I'm not enslaved, but those who were enslaved before me, I hold them in high esteem. Because if they didn't hold out and hold on, if they didn't fight weakness so they could be strong, if they didn't remember that God still loved them and was going to rise up with them, the same way He went down with them, He rose them up and brought us to having wealth today, freedom today, not breaking the promise He made to them when they were praising His name. If it were not for my great, 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 I wouldn't be so great because they taught me how to overcome and to not give up. They taught me how to fight the power. They taught me that everything was going to be all right. They gave me a memory. So, no, I might not be enslaved, but I come from a powerful people who were. And because of Him and them, I am.